Hi, I'm Josie Paul, and I'm here with Shlok to discuss our relationship with music. And by now, you would have read Shlok's column. And in this episode, Shlok and I discuss the soundtrack of our lives and how music influences and shapes us. You got a glimpse of Shlok's, relationship with music through his column, but allow me to share my world too as we explore what music means to us through our own intergenerational lens. Somewhere in our confession, we hope you see your own journey too. Let me start by saying that for me, music is not just music, it's also the associations that go with it. It's a connection with life and with you and me. Because in every song and tune that has ever touched me, there's a little bit of all of us. I'll explain with a few stories. My real introduction to the influential power of music happened the day I stepped into college for the first time. I was barely 15 years old. And what do I see? A student protest going on in full swing. Amazing looking people were singing songs, protest songs like "We Shall Overcome." Students are running across the rooftop, flinging pamphlets. They are fighting for representation in the management committee. And "We Shall Overcome" was gently fusing into "Hum Hoge Kamyab." I'd never heard of protest music before. I'd grown up on Shammi Kapoor and Bollywood songs. But on my first day of college, I was yanked out of the fantasy of Bollywood music and thrust into the reality of student life. Music took charge of my formative years. College friendships began to blossom because you joined groups that were sitting under college arches singing Bob Dylan and Pink Floyd and the Beatles. There was Dire Straits and ABBA and old Hindi songs. Music was in the air, everywhere. The college held jazz festivals. There was Jan Fest, organized by the IMG, the Indian Music Group. And in the chill of the January morning, you were listening to Hari Prasad Chaurasia, his flute turning night into dawn. It was mesmerizing. We were hanging out with gods. Bob Dylan and Floyd spoke to me more than anyone else. They helped me discover my creative side. When I heard Gilmore sing "Us and Them," something in me stirred. "Haven't you heard? It's a battle of words," the poster bearer cried. "Listen, son," said the man with the gun. "There's room for you inside." "A battle of words," the poster bearer cried. I was so impacted by these words that I left my sporting interests as a college footballer and began to write and create posters. My search for meaning began here with this kind of music. Music that was questioning the status quo and seeking change. It fueled me to find my own purpose. I remember after finishing college during my first job, I picked up my first LP album with my first salary. It was Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. The album cover was fascinating. The stark spectrum of rainbow colors emerging from the central prism just blew my mind. It was hypnotic. I picked up the album in a trance because of that image. I remember staring at it for hours. That LP made me look at the world of visuals, imagery, and photography. Music was no longer sound. It was the things you saw in your head, and I let that play inside me. Music controlled my life and its events. Like the time I first met my wife, Marie, in Bangalore, and we went out for coffee. It was at the Taj, West End. There was a small bridge in the middle of one of their lush gardens. We stood on the bridge chatting when it began to drizzle. It was evening and Mari began to sing. The song was from The Sound of Music, the movie. And the song was I Must Have Done Something Good. It was so spontaneous, and Mari is such a fantastic singer. I was stunned. And with that heady aroma of wet earth, I knew she was the one. Music helped me decide, as did the rain. We got married. The rain is the ultimate sound of music for me. When it rains, I go crazy. The pitter-patter of falling rain on leaves, concrete, grass, on the roof, on your body, everything sounds different. It's heavenly drumming, a million-piece percussion set. You are one with the earth, the sky, the universe, and you surrender and begin to dance. Coming back to Pink Floyd, I have a confession to make. I have been listening to Shine On You Crazy Diamond every day of my life for the past 25 years. I wake up to it, it's my morning raga. The first strain of Gilmore's guitar just lifts me up with its sad and plaintive cry. I feel the pain of connecting with a long-lost friend, of missing someone. You don't know who, but it's calling. I feel it is the day calling. I will not miss this day. No, I will make it great. I have another ritual. Before every big presentation, I psych myself with 3 songs that I play one after the other. It's like a concoction, a mantra mix. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, followed by Scarborough Fair by Simon and Garfunkel, and then Mountain Hare Krishna by Krishna Das and Sting. You gotta listen to that, it's just brilliant. This combination is lethal. I storm into my sessions with excited energy. I don't understand how this happens, but it works. It's something. During the lockdown, I spent 3 months just walking around and round on our small terrace outside my study. Each day I used to choose a theme from my past and play the songs that fit that theme. It was a walk back, a flashback. All the things in my life associated with that music would walk with me. I was a DJ walking on memory lane. Music gave me hope and gives me power. I believe the only way to fight our COVID blues is with our own inner rock and roll. Yes, so music is the soundtrack of my life. I hear it even when it's not playing. It's always playing in my head. I'm not a musician, I cannot sing, and yet it's in me and flows in my blood to the sound of my own imagination. I guess it's the same with you. If you feel a connection with this confession, share your stories too, please. Join Shlok and me for Season 2, Episode 6 of Talking About My Generation on November 21st at 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time on Facebook. You can register on the link below. Come, let's jam. Together, we will rock.